morning children. Today we are going to see about the chapter 9 applications of biology in zoology book back questions. Now we will be discussing about the 2-mark questions which will be coming for the from this lesson. So the first question is, why is insulin important? And the answer is, it facilitates the cellular uptake and utilization of glucose for the release of energy. And second one, the deficiency of insulin leads to diabetes mellitus, and which is characterized by the increased level of blood glucose concentration and a complex of symptoms which may lead to death if untreated. So these are the 2 points you have to write why insulin is important. The second question is, nowadays insulin is produced by recombinant DNA technology to treat diabetic patients. So how were they treated in early days? So because now we have the recombinant technology, but earlier days how they were treating this diabetes disease? So the answer is, in early years insulin was isolated and purified from the pancreas of pigs and cows and was used to treat the diabetic patients. So due to the minor differences in the structure of the animal insulin as compared to the human insulin, it resulted in occurrence of allergic reactions in some diabetic patients. So it is causing some allergies since it is not from the human origin, it was from the animal origin. So these are the 2 points you have to write for this question. Third one, why is not advisable to administer animal insulin to a diabetic patient? So the answer is, it results in the occurrence of allergic reactions in diabetic patients. Fourth question, which was the first ever pharmaceutical product of recombinant technology? Mention the trade name under which it was marketed. So answer is, insulin was the first ever pharmaceutical product of recombinant DNA technology administered to humans. So in 1986 human insulin was marketed under the trade name called as Humulin. So you have to remember this name, Humulin. Then fifth question, interferons are antiviral substances. How do they act against viruses? So the answer is, they stimulate the cellular DNA to produce antiviral enzymes which inhibit viral replication and protect the cells. So these interferons produces some antiviral enzymes which inhibit the viral replication and they protect the cells from the damage. And the second one is, interferons are used for the treatment of various diseases like cancer, AIDS, multiple sclerosis, hepatitis C and herpes zoster. So these are some of the diseases through which we can cure them through the interferons. So that is the fifth question. Then sixth one, it is possible to isolate interferon from blood. So why it is not practiced? Suggest a solution to overcome this issue. So the answer is, yes, interferons could be isolated from blood, but the amount of blood required for isolation of interferons is enormous and not practical. So that is the reason we cannot isolate them from the normal blood. The solution to overcome this issue is, interferons could be produced by rDNA technology. So these are the 2 points you have to write. Then seventh one, the yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae is more suitable for the production of recombinant interferons than E. coli. So give a reason for that. So the answer is, since E. coli does not possess the machinery of glycosylation of proteins as yeast. 8th question, what are the therapeutic applications of interferon? Answer is, interferons are used for the treatment of various diseases like cancer, AIDS, multiple sclerosis, hepatitis C and herpes zoster. Question number 9, suggest a corrective therapy for a person born with a hereditary disease and define the same. So if a person is having a hereditary disease, how can we cure them? The therapy is, answer is gene therapy, and define the same. Same means we have to define the gene therapy. What is gene therapy? So the definition for gene therapy is, this is the process which involves the transfer of a normal gene into a person's cell that carries one or more mutant alleles. So this is the definition of gene therapy. The next question, 10th one, what are subunit recombinant vaccines? So answer is, vaccines that use components of a pathogenic organism rather than the whole organism are called as the subunit vaccine. So we are not using the whole organism, we are using only a part of that. That is why, or a subunit of the organism. So that is called as the subunit vaccines. So it includes the components like proteins, peptides, DNAs of pathogenic bacteria. So these are the components which are used as the subunits in subunit recombinant vaccines. Then question number 11, what are attenuated recombinant vaccines? So the answer is, genetically modified pathogenic organisms such as bacteria or viruses that are made non-pathogenic and are used as vaccines. And the second point you have to write is, live vaccines and such vaccines are referred to as attenuated recombinant vaccines. So these are the 2 points you have to write for attenuated recombinant vaccines. Question number 12, name the 2 strategies involved in gene therapy. So the answer is, there are 2 strategies involved in the gene therapy, namely gene augmentation therapy, which involves insertion of DNA into the genome to replace the missing gene product, and gene inhibition therapy, which involves insertion of gene of the antisense gene which inhibits the expression of the dominant gene. So in gene augmentation, we are inserting the DNA into genome, so which is missing gene, that is called as the gene augmentation. And gene inhibition therapy is, it involves insertion of the antisense gene. So that means it will not allow the gene to express, that is called as antisense gene, and which inhibits the expression of the dominant gene which is causing the disease or responsible for that gene therapy. Then question number 13, differentiate between gene augmentation therapy and gene inhibition therapy. So you have to write the definition. So which involves the insertion of DNA into genome to replace the missing gene product. So this is the definition of gene augmentation therapy. And gene inhibition therapy, which involves the insertion of antisense gene which inhibits the expression of dominant gene. Then question number 14, stem cells exhibit cellular potency, justify. So the answer for this is, stem cells can differentiate into all types of cells that are derived from any of the 3 germ layers known as ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So we know that there are 3 layers, ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So from these layers, the stem cells can create whatever cells it want. So that is the thing, and they have the ability to regenerate the damaged and diseased organs. So that is the ability of the stem cells. Then question number 15, so stem cells are undifferentiated cells. So name 2 types of cells found in the mammals. Since stem cells are undifferentiated, that means they are like a cells only, but they will be differentiated whenever there is a need. So that is called as stem cells are undifferentiated. So we have 2 types of cells, that is embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. So what are embryonic stem cells? So these are the cells which are pluripotent and multipotent and can produce from the 3 primary germ layers called the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And most of the adult stem cells are multipotent and they can act as a repair system of the body and replenishing the adult tissues. So the red bone marrow which is there in our thigh, it is rich source of our adult stem cells. So these stem cells will be giving new red blood cells, other lymphocytes, newly cells and all, it will be producing, and wherever there is a tissue damage or tissue repair is there, these adult stem cells will be helping them. So that is the role of the adult stem cells. Question number 16, what is the source of embryonic stem cells? State the most important application of human stem cells. So the answer is the embryonic stem cells are isolated from the epiblast tissue of the inner cell mass of the blastocyst. So the human stem cells could be used to test new drugs and cell-based therapies. So that is the application you have to write. The human stem cells are used for testing new drugs, and also they are used for some cell-based therapies. Then question number 17, differentiate between multipotency and oligopotency. So multipotency refers to the stem cells that can differentiate into various types of cells that are related, and oligopotency is, it refers to the stem cells that can differentiate into few cell types. So it is not differentiated into all types, only a few cells it can be differentiated. So examples of multipotency are blood stem cells and can be differentiated into lymphocytes, monocytes, neutrophils, etc. And example for oligopotency is, example is lymphoid or myeloid stem cells and can differentiate into B and T cells but not RBC cells. Differentiate between totipotency and unipotency. So totipotency means it is the ability of a single cell to divide and produce itself into all of the differentiated cells in the organism. So whatever cell we want, it can be modified into that one. So that is called as totipotency. Unipotency means it is the ability of the stem cells to differentiate into only one cell type. So that is called as unipotency. Then question number 19, define pluripotency. So answer, it refers to a stem cell that has the potential to differentiate into any of the three germ layers, that is from the germ layers, that is ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So from them it will be arising into any of the cells. So that is called as pluripotency. Then question number 20, the SCID is an autosomal recessive metabolic disorder. How could it be cured permanently? So the answer is, the disease could be cured permanently if the gene for the ADA, that is adenosine deaminase deficiency, it is isolated from the bone marrow cells and are introduced into the cells of the early embryonic stages. So when the cell is in embryonic stage only, when we administer that gene into the growing embryo, then we can alter the disordered gene and we can stop the SCID disease, that is adenosine deaminase deficiency can be cured. Then question number 21, name the sources of stem cells. So the most popular sources of stem cells are umbilical cord and the cord blood, and the rich sources in terms of both quantity and quality are the placenta, amniotic sac and the amniotic fluid. So these are the sources of stem cells where we can get them. Then question number 22, how are stem cells stored? So it is stored in the amniotic cell bank, and it is a facility that stores the stem cells derived from the amniotic fluid for the future use. And the other one is, stem cells can be stored in banks specifically for the use in the individual from whom such cells have been collected and the banking costs are paid. So that is, they have a cord bank and amniotic cell bank. We have two types of cell banks. Then question number 23, differentiate amniotic cell banking and cord blood banking. So amniotic cell banking, it is a facility that stores the stem cells derived from amniotic fluid for future use, and cord blood banking, it is the extraction of stem cells from the umbilical cord during the childbirth. So this is also the child only, but we are taking from the amniotic fluid, and this one is from the umbilical cord we are extracting the cells. So that is the difference between amniotic cell bank and cord banking. Then question number 24, molecular diagnostic techniques helps in early detection of the disease. Name the techniques. So the techniques are, some of the techniques that are reliable and help in early diagnosis are recombinant DNA technology, polymer chain reaction, that is PCR, and enzyme linked immunosorbent assay, that is ELISA, shortly called as. These are the three techniques that are reliable for the early diagnosis of any diseases. Then question number 25, mention some diseases that could be detected by PCR. So some of the diseases we can detect are sickle cell anemia, beta thalassemia, and phenylketonuria can be detected by PCR. Question number 26, several concerns are being raised in accepting genetically modified products. State some of them. So we have genetically modified organisms, so how can we stop them, or how can we, people are not using them? That is what the concern is. So the major part of the modern biotechnology deals with genetic manipulations. So that is the one of the fear why people are not using the genetically modified organisms, and genetic manipulations may lead to an unknown consequences, and unique or microorganisms either inadvertently or deliberately can be developed for the purpose of war, that could be causing some epidemics or environmental catastrophes. So if any microorganism which is being worked in the lab is being escaped, so how this coronavirus what we have recently, that also has been escaped from the lab, so that cause a epidemic or pandemic disease now in the world. So that is the reason why most of the people are very afraid of using the genetically modified microorganisms or plants or animals. Then question number 27, define biotechnology. So biotechnology is defined as any technological application that uses biological systems, living organisms or derivatives thereof to make or modify products or processes for specific use. For particular use we are using this technology, so that is called as the biotechnology. This name was given by Karl Erki, a Hungarian agricultural engineer, coined the term biotechnology. Then question number 28, so what are the major technologies included in biotechnology? So the major two techniques are genetic engineering and chemical engineering. So these are the major technologies included in biotechnology. So what are the four major industrial application areas in biotechnology? Those are healthcare, that is medical, and agriculture, industrial and environment. So these are the four major industrial applications of biotechnology. Then question number 30, define transgenesis. So transgenesis is the process of introduction of a foreign gene into genome of animals to create the and maintain the stable heritable characters. So transgenesis is a process of introduction of foreign gene which is not in our body or any other organism. So that gene is being taken and it is inserted in other animals, and after inserting also we are not losing its character, but we are maintaining that character. So that is called as the transgenesis. And question number 31, define cloning. So cloning is the process of producing genetically identical individuals of an organism either naturally or artificially. So that is called as cloning. Then question number 32, which is the first synthetic vaccine launched in 1997, and name its trade names by which it is marketed. So the first recombinant vaccine for hepatitis B, that is HBsAg vaccine, and it was the first synthetic vaccine launched in 1997, and it is marketed by the trade names Recombivax and Energex B. So these are the two names, Recombivax and Energex B. So this is the market name for the synthetic vaccine which is used for curing the hepatitis B virus. Then question number 33, name the first two diseases that were cured by using gene therapy that created the trust on this technique. So, the gene therapy has been directed at correcting the single gene mutations in cystic fibrosis and hemophilia. So, these are the two diseases. Then question number 34, define DNA amplification. So, the process to generate multiple forms of desired DNA strands by repeated steps of denaturation, annealing and extension is called as DNA amplification. When these three processes, that is denaturation of the DNA and again rejoining, that is called as annealing, and then extension of the new strand. So, these are the three steps used in the polymer chain reaction. So, because of this, what will happen? There will be an increase in the DNA content. So, that is called as DNA amplification. Then question number 35, define annealing. So, annealing is rapid cooling of the mixture of DNA in PCR, allowing the primers to bind to the sequences on each of the two strands flanking the target DNA. After denaturation, the two strands will be separated, and then what will happen? Again, that temperature is brought down to 70 degrees, so that again the two DNA strands can bind to the primers, and then they can start extending to form a new strand. So, that is the process of annealing. Then question number 36, what are the three main steps in the PCR process? So, the three steps of PCR are denaturation, annealing and extension as shown in the first cycle, and the exponential amplification of target DNA with repeating cycle happens in the PCR. So, this step, the three steps, denaturation, annealing and extension, these are continuously repeating. Every time you get a new strands of DNA and the content of the DNA starts increasing. So, that is the main steps of PCR. Then question number 37, differentiate between PCR and RT-PCR. So, PCR, it uses the double stranded DNA as a template, and RT-PCR, it is using single stranded RNA as a template. So, in PCR, DNA is the template, and in RT-PCR, RNA is the template. And in PCR, it uses an enzyme called as stack polymerase enzyme for the synthesis of the new DNA strand. But in if you see in the RT-PCR, it uses reverse transcriptase enzyme for the synthesis of new complementary DNA or cDNA from the strand of mRNA. So, here the substrate or the template is mRNA. From that mRNA, we are producing a complementary DNA. So, that is the difference between PCR and RT-PCR. Question number 38. So, what are biological products? Give an example. So, answer is, a biological product is a substance derived from a living organism and are used for the prevention or treatment of disease. In biological product, we are using a live organism or living organism, and from that we are extracting the substances which can prevent or treat the disease. So, these are called as biological products. So, examples which are produced such process are antitoxins, bacterial and viral vaccines, and blood products and hormone extracts. So, these are some of the products. So, if you write any one or two, that is enough. So, these are the examples of biological products. Mention some uses of monoclonal antibodies. So, monoclonal antibodies which are used to treat cancer, heart disease and transplant rejection. So, that is the some of the monoclonal antibodies uses. Question number 40, what are the advantages of natural protein adhesives and where are they used? So, natural proteins adhesives are, these are non-toxic, biodegradable and rarely trigger an immune response. So, where they are used is, they are used to reattach the tendons and tissues and fill the cavities of the teeth and repair the broken bones. So this is the places where we can use the natural protein adhesives. Then question number 41. So what is a gene knockout? So a gene knockout is a genetically engineered organism that carries one or more genes in its chromosomes and that have been made inoperative. That means we are stopping the production of the gene. So that is called as the gene knockout. Then let us go to the 3-mark questions now. So what is genetic engineering? So the answer what you have to write is, it is the manipulation of DNA and naturally occurring processes. And the second one is, this also involves extracting a gene from one organism and transferring it to the DNA of another organism of the same or another species. And third point you have to write, the DNA produced in this way is referred to as recombinant DNA or rDNA. Then second question, define recombinant DNA technology. So the first point you have to write is, extracting a gene from one organism and transferring it to the DNA of another organism of the same or other species is called as recombinant DNA technology, and the DNA produced in this way is referred as rDNA or recombinant DNA, and this technique of producing the rDNA is called as recombinant DNA technology. In question number 3, differentiate stomatic cell therapy and germline therapy. So stomatic cell gene therapy is nothing but it is the therapeutic genes transferred into the stomatic cells, and therapeutic genes transfer it is into the germ cells, transfer of the therapeutic genes into the germ cells. And second point, introduction of genes into bone marrow cells, blood cells and skin cells, etc. So it is the ordinary cells which are being introduced by the genes, the new genes which are defective genes can be corrected. And in the germline gene therapy, genes are introduced in the eggs and sperms so that they will be carried to the next generation. So this stomatic cell therapy, it will not be inherited in the later generations because it is not involving the sperm and the egg. So these are the questions. So we will continue in the next class with more questions for 3 marks and 5 marks. So of this lesson. Thank you.